Okay, we're live, I think. I should probably double check.
It looks like we're live on this. It's just still to come through on YouTube. Oh, there we go.
Let me see my YouTube and see if it came through yet.
It has on my end.
Okay, I'm going to turn it off or it'll be echoing here. Okay, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Good. Yeah, it's been a good weekend. Had a busy day with my niece today, so
The what?
I was watching my niece
Oh,
today. So had a busy day with her.
oh
Yeah,
wait, Mondays is one of your days off, isn't it?
yeah. So I don't work on Saturdays, Sundays, or Mondays. But on Mondays, like normally, like before lockdown period and all that, I watch my niece every Monday. Um, so that's what I do on a Monday. But with lockdown, and like distancing and all that, um, we I'd never watched her. I'd never started seeing them again until about a month back or something. So this was the first day that I've watched the first time since lockdown that I've watched her kind of on my own without her mum there. But she was as good as gold. It was really good. It was great to see
Hey,
her.
Masha.
Hi, Masha. How are you?
Is that your brother or sister's daughter?
Oh, neither. It's my best friend's daughter.
Oh, okay. So you're like stepdad or something, kind of, or godfather, or well, just
Just Uncle Chris. um, I suppose if she was religious and she was like christened or baptized or whatever you want to call it, then yeah, I would be her godfather, but she's not.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm just Uncle Chris.
Masha, I wanted to tell you I got my gas man today. It sounds like it sounds like the guy came to fill my boiler or something. it's it's the it's the card, the gasman. Uh, I saved that.
All right.
The tax man, the gas man. I tell you, this is the best box. My God, it's almost like wood. This is the toughest cardboard box I've ever had. I like a two-part box, and I spent the better part of the afternoon rounding the corners, which I
Oh,
always
is it one that comes with pointed corners?
yeah, I always love doing that anyway.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, oops, where's my camera?
There you
Yeah,
are.
it's got those sharp corners, so I made the little round ones.
Oh, lovely. It's nice colours.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. Masha's gonna freak out. I don't know if I'm gonna use it much. The cardstock isn't quite what I thought. It's really thick cardstock, and it's not really satiny or gloss. It's pretty smooth. I mean, it's slippery enough. It's workable. It's just I'm so spoiled. I'm so in love with this cardstock from MPC, this S30 that I love so much that nothing else seems to stand up to it now. Although I was talking with her on a chat this morning about the Fournier Marseille. This is like, oh my God, this is probably the best stock I've ever had. It's really slippery though. I mean, it feels lush, but it's almost too slippery. Like the cards, like sort of jump out of your hand when you shuffle.
Right.
But
Masha's saying the cardstock softens with shuffling. There's maybe just one of those ones you need to wear in.
it's all right. It's just it doesn't seem like. I mean, and they actually feel more like real cards now that I rounded the corners. I don't know. That's kind of silly, but somehow before they just kind of looked like they were like block printed on, a halfway decent cardstock paper. and as opposed to like manufactured cards,
Right, right.
And now they feel more like real cards, but they still are thicker than I'm used to in terms of cards. They're
Yeah.
flexible enough. I mean, a lot of people really like thick cardstock. I'm not that big on thicker
Yeah.
cardstock. Hey,
Hi, Sophie.
Sophie Moon. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I like they have these really big googly eyes, which I like. I like the expressions on them, and I've been
You going to
looking.
show us a few cards from it?
Oh, I could, I guess.
So is this one that Marsha had told you to get, or
No, I think Mendy had it first. Let me
right? Okay.
see if there's a way I can. I have to figure out how to do this. I'm gonna. Oops. How do I go solo here? There.
There you
Uh, this camera thing is driving me crazy. I never know where to put it.
There you are.
You can't really see probably, but there he's got those big googly eyes. I love it.
All right. Okay.
I think the Dodal has probably bigger eyes. Here's the Papess. I'm really getting into the expressions on the faces of some of these cards in these decks. I just really like their attitudes.
Do you
Here's
know?
the Emperor looks like he's got a busted nose, like he's been in a fight. But it has a certain kind of charm to it.
I'm sure Ben was showing me this deck. B-Jam.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, these are the backs, so you probably.
Yeah.
And this one, like the Pope, looks like he's got bags under his eyes, like he hadn't got much sleep lately. But one of the there are a couple reasons why I wanted this deck. Oh, here's the Hermit. I don't know. I'm not sure I like this green. I know Masha likes the green. It's a little bit washed out. I love yellow green, but this is almost like a real pale mint green or something. Oh, this is the Force card. I like her attitude. She has almost like Asian eyes or something, or side eye effect,
Oh,
And
Force.
and I got this. I got this deck mostly for this card. This is a real different hanged man looking at the ground,
All right. Okay.
and sort of profile, and he's got both his legs tied up there.
Yeah.
This Temperance is a little bit cross-eyed, I think, and the Devil's a little not particularly scary, sort of animal-like.
He's got those
Actually,
kind of psycho eyes, though, hasn't he? Where you can see the whites all around his eyes.
yeah, that's true. Actually, I think this little guy down here is more scary, this smiling one on the side. One tugging at his hip. So, yeah, oh, here's the Star. She looks like she's kind of maybe up to no good, pouring out the water. Or what the hell is that bird doing over there in that tree? So I don't know. I have some other decks I got recently that I kind of like, Marseille style decks. I like the coloring better, but they're more kind of contemporary takes on the Marseille. They're not traditional. So,
Right.
and this one actually isn't French. It's from Switzerland. So,
Right.
but anyway, so there's that.
Do you have a favorite Marseille, Robin, off the top of your head? Like,
Well, yes. I'm still kind of like working it out, but I haven't done a walkthrough of this yet. But Conrad Stain did a version of this. This is the back. It's
right.
got this it's a crackle back like he does, but it's like an eggshell color.
Oh yeah, right.
and it's a beautiful S30 cardstock that I love from MPC,
Hmm.
and it's kind of like a milky sort of washed out tones that I actually really like. And the greens are a little bit more of a yellow greeny color, but it's got the Papes and the Pope replaced by Juno and Jupiter, which at first I wasn't sure about, but I like it. I think I can read with these because it's sort of like the stance with the hands is kind of like as above, so below.
Hmm.
So I can work with that as the Popes or the High Priestess.
It's quite
And
unusual to see that in the High Priestess, though, isn't it? Normally, you see the magician making that gesture.
yeah, well, this isn't the High Priestess; it's Juno. But I don't know how she's usually depicted. She's not used in the deck very often. She's in that period where they, because of the Catholic Church, they replaced those two with these other figures. She's got
Oh, okay.
peacocks in the bottom of her card,
Hmm.
and then he is naked and with like I don't know if they're lightning bolts or what they are in his hands, and he's got an eagle down at the bottom. But he's got that same as above, so below kind of stance,
Right. Yeah.
which helps me use those for that interpretation.
Yeah.
And I wanted to find. Let me find. There's another card in here I really like. Uh, oh no, I'm getting my decks confused. I thought it was the Ace of Cups in this one. That's in the other deck. Oh, this is a nice Ace of Wands. These don't communicate the color very well. It's very kind of subtle and muted because usually the Marseille decks are so bright,
Hmm.
and these are kind of like I don't want to say washed out. They're kind of like soft and milky or ghostly or something. I sort of like the palette better. And then I also like the Petishi deck that has more of a kind of autumn color palette.
Yeah. Petiti's got a really nice kind of
But
a really nice thing.
his drawings are a little bit crude. His facial expressions, I can appreciate them. They're different, but they're a little bit. Uh, I don't want to say less than professional. Just seem kind of crude and homemade, and I can't quite tell what their expressions tell me. They're kind of vague in their attitudes. So I don't know. But that's a nice deck. And then the other one I love is the Fournier. This this is
Right.
this is it's I think it's between this and the one Conrad did at the moment. And I love this because oh my God, this is of all the Hierophants. Jeez, I just can't get this angle right. Of all the Hierophants I've seen, I usually don't like this card, but he just has such soft, sympathetic eyes to me. So I really love his expression, and I like the coloring in this deck, and the shading is almost sort of three-dimensional. It's very soft and warm for a Marseille deck. I love
Yeah.
the color on the death card too, sort of like
Right.
brownish tones. Oh, and oh, excuse me. There's a lot of blue-haired ladies in it too. The star has blue
Oh
hair.
yeah.
I kind
Well,
of like
she's a
the
handsome
blue.
lady.
Yeah, yeah. So the colors in this are beautiful. Now
Hmm.
Masha thinks the magician has a mustache. Now I don't see it. I think it's just like a sort of poorly shaded upper lip, like
I
maybe too much shadow under his nose. I don't see it as a mustache, but
The focus isn't the best, but I'd definitely say a mustache there. That looks to me like
really,
a mustache he's got. But you'll
okay.
know better looking at it than what I can see.
Well, hard pressed to say, but I think it looks to me like a case where they painted the upper lip in a different shade of red than the lower one, and they made it a little bit too dark.
Right.
But yeah, I can sort of see where somebody might think it was a mustache. But and I don't know. I can't remember. Does the fool usually have a goatee like that? I don't know, but I like it.
Eh,
Looks a little
not sure.
cross-eyed. Yeah, but this is a pretty deck. I really like this one.
Definitely.
I might use this one a little bit in our readings later. Oh, people in the chat, be thinking about questions for when we do readings if you're still around.
Masha has said that she's only here for half an hour because
Oh
she's
yeah.
only just up in the morning and having her coffee. I think you said, didn't you, Masha? Whereabouts in the world are you, Masha? If it's the morning
Ma-
time, I'm going to guess somewhere over
Masha
Australia or
says
something.
she thinks the magician glued on a fake mustache because he's sort of the trickster. He's like trying to like fool people. In the Marseille
Yeah,
deck, he's he's more of the scam artist than he is a magician, which is a
got a trench coat as well, a trench coat and a fake mustache.
yeah, fun idea. Oh, here I am. I should bring you back. I
That's
was
all right.
trying to find out. I still can't figure it out. Maybe I can. Oh, there it is.
Hey guys.
Okay. Yeah, I asked Lucian the other night how, ask Dave for me, how do I bring Chris into full screen when he shows
Hmm.
cards? And he said, oh, you have to click on the little window on your screen. So I just figured it out. So that's good.
Cool, sorted. Yeah, Masha's going to work after our coffee.
So you brought up a topic that you wanted to discuss
Yeah, it
earlier.
was just an idea of something that we could maybe discuss. Yeah, like I called it superstitions. I want to be clear though that I don't mean um. So obviously, superstitions brings to mind something that's maybe like that I think is silly or that you shouldn't do or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like superstition has a connotation about it, doesn't it? I don't mean that, but I just mean like in general there are the kind of there's things that people hear that they have to do or feel like they should do and things like that. So for example, like you shouldn't buy your own first tarot deck. You know, that's an example. Uh, the cards must always be wrapped in black silk. I've heard that one. So that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, and that was the kind of thing I thought we could have a wee chat about if it's something that interested you, Robin.
Sure. I wasn't sure what you meant by superstition, so now I'm a little bit clearer on it. I
Yeah.
thought maybe you meant like, oh, people are superstitious, like religious people don't think it's like the devil's work and you can't use cards or something.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Or,
That wasn't
or
so much where I was going, but I mean, if that's something you're interested in chatting about, I wouldn't be averse to it. But yeah, I just meant look those kind of wee things that people say you must do.
well,
Yeah, Masha's saying she's heard of those ones too.
I was thinking about not. I guess I don't think of it so much as superstition as like little rituals and things that you go through in relation to your cards, like
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
how
I
you
think.
store them, or do you have to like, actually, when I get used copies of decks, which I've only done once or twice, they feel the energy on them feels weird to me. So I
Right.
usually will light some sage and then I'll like pass the cards through the sage smoke. which I
Yeah.
guess is sort of a superstition or something. It feels like it clears it a little bit better. I don't know.
Yeah, I think anything could be a lot of these things, they are rituals and they're personal to us, and that's cool. I guess when they become a superstition is when people start saying you must, when you buy a second-hand deck, you must pass it through Sage, or you must wrap your cards in silk, or you must not buy your own first tarot deck. That's to me what the superstition side of it is. It's when people portray that as something you have that must be done. Um, or when people kind of have the impression that I need to do this. So I think like if someone feels like to them personally to them like you've obviously feel that running your cards through Sage helps clear them of the energy. So to me, that's not a superstition. That's personal to you. The superstition would be if you were to start saying to me, "Oh, that's something you have to do, Chris. Otherwise you're going to have all that energy in your cards."
Uh-huh.
So it's just wee things like that that I'm interested in, and I'm interested in hearing if there's people in the chat, like if there's any kind of these wee quirky things that you guys have heard about. I'm quite interested in hearing what they are.
I wanted
Um,
to welcome Sarah of Waterchild Tarot into the chat. And I want to ask Sarah to spell her name for me. I don't know if it's Sara or Sarah, just so I have it to refer to in the future when I'm using chats. But oh,
Hi,
Asha
Sarah.
thinks it's ending in an H, but I don't know. So anyway, yeah, I don't follow that thing. Oh, it is with an H. Okay, I think I used it wrong before. I stand corrected. Welcome, Sarah. And Sarah's got a great channel. It's very new, so if you haven't seen it, you should check it out.
I am a follower.
Okay, and yeah, no, I don't believe in that thing where like you can't buy your own deck. I mean, I think I know so many people that if they didn't buy their own first deck, they'd never have a deck because
That's it. Yeah.
nobody's gonna buy it. Um, as for wrapping it in silk, I don't know where that came from, what that's all about. I mean, I can sort of see keeping it stored in something that's non-abrasive. You don't want your cards to get scratched up or wrinkled or wet or anything like that. But I
Yeah,
don't know
totally.
why a silk cloth is necessarily important. I guess that is a superstition.
Where I read it, um, the belief, the thinking behind it was the black silk keeps out unwanted energy from your cards. It blocks unwanted energies and keeps them safe. And obviously the physical aspect, it keeps them protected, just
That sounds
generally
like it
physically.
has more to do with the black than the silk to me, unless there's something about silk that I don't
Maybe.
know about. I
I think because
know.
it's natural, because it's a natural product and not
Oh,
synthetic, man-made. I think that's the significance of it being silk.
that's interesting.
Um, yeah,
Well, so could it be black cotton too?
maybe.
I mean, silk is from silkworms, cotton's from a cotton plant, but I mean, it's still natural, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people use black stones like obsidian, crystals or something to absorb, negative energy when they work. They use crystals. Are you a crystal user or collector?
I've got a couple, but if I'm totally honest, I'm not really much of a crystal person.
Yeah.
Um, I, I don't know why. It's not something I'm particularly fussed about. That's not to say that I won't in the future, get
Yeah.
more into it. But yeah, Masha's sent. She's said one of the things that she's heard. So Masha, one of the ones that bother me a bit is when people say that the first deck to learn must be an RWS, and that you cannot learn tarot with TDM or Thoth. Yeah, um, yeah, I get that. I think See, this is the thing, right? I think if you're a very kind of visual learner, if you benefit a lot from the scenes on the cards on like your Rider Waite, or even if it's not a Rider Waite, if it's like a scenic deck, I think if you benefit from that, then if I know someone who's like very visual, pictorial, and gets a lot from that, then I probably would say to them, you would maybe be best to learn from Rider Waite or Lightseers, for example.
Yeah.
Um, but then again, you get some people who are like very kind of analytical, very theoretical, who would probably benefit a lot from TDM. Do you know what I mean? Because it's all, you've got the numerology and the elemental aspect of it, which is all very kind of theoretical and logical to me.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about Thoth to bring Thoth into this conversation, but I'm sure Thoth has its place as well. Um, so yeah, I think that it really depends on the type of person, and I agree with Masha that there shouldn't be you must learn with this or you must learn with that. I think it's a very individual thing, and I think actually that so this is why I particularly don't believe in the whole you must have your first one bought for you. To me, when you're buying any tarot deck really, but especially your first one, you really want to be kind of looking through the whole deck. Do you know what I mean? You want to look through. You want to see all the images, see what gels with you, see if they speak to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. I don't know.
Well, that kind of comes into the whole gift giving thing too. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you give a gift to somebody. Is it because something you know that they will really embrace and enjoy, or is it just because it's something you like and you think they should like it? And then when it comes to tarot, I think you really have to, develop your own connection with it. So it's really important, I think, to be drawn to the deck that you end up choosing. And I was I'm a visual person, so I found the Rider Waite Smith deck easier to start from, and I was really shocked when I was on a Kelly Truth and Story chat once and asked her about it, and she was very adamant about Tarot de Marseille being the best starting place. Now, I kind of feel like with the Marseille style decks, you do really have to study and learn more, whereas with the Rider Waite, you can almost pick it up from the get go and pick things up in the images and pictures. You definitely learn more the more you know about it, but I mean, you look at a little story in a picture and it tells you things.
Yeah,
Whereas you look at, uh, seven wands crossed on a card, you just get a pile of sticks. It's like, I don't know.
yeah. No, I know what you mean. I guess I think there's a big benefit to doing some sort of looking into Marseille at some point in your journey.
Yeah,
And the reason I say that is because I'm a big kind of advocate of, um, you know, knowing at least a bit of the theory and a bit of the learning behind it. Um, I I don't want to say that no one should do this because who the hell am I to say? But I struggle with the idea of like just someone who can just pick up a pictorial deck and then just start reading with it. um, start reading professionally with that. To me, I feel as though there should at least be some knowledge, and certainly for me personally, I feel as though the more that my knowledge is built, the better that I feel my reading has become.
yeah.
Now,
Well, you used a key phrase there, though, that I think is important. You said reading professionally. I, I, I don't read professionally. I mean, we've had fun on these chats where I get to read for people, but I
yeah,
don't consider myself a professional reader at all. It's just kind
oh
of
yeah, same.
my take on things, and I read them for me and for sort of self awareness and what might help me sort through a problem. It's like anything related to like prediction or forecasting or any of that hoodoo kind of stuff. I don't particularly relate to that aspect. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Other people are really into it, but it's
Yeah.
just not mine's more of a psychological take on reading decks, I
Yeah.
think. And I don't, you know, but I understand what you're saying about reading professionally and expanding your level of knowledge. And I think it's a good idea anyway, um, to do that. I'm just not. I don't know about doing it all at once when you first start. I just think, for me, the Rider Waite was a good place to start, and I'm just now kind of expanding into Marseille style decks. And I did a little brief side trip into Lenormand, which I went right back out of. But I will get back there at some point, and I'll probably reapproach playing cards as well. So, and I also got a Thoth deck, but I mean, those things I just kind of toyed with briefly, and I thought, okay, I can't do this right now, but I'll come back to it at some point
Yeah.
and study it a bit more.
Can I just say a very quick hello to Aquarius Owl? Because I don't
Yeah,
think I said hello to Aquarius Owl before. So hiya, how you doing?
yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, I agree with it all. I don't think that there's a fixed starting point. I do
And
think that there's benefit to looking at, you know, picking up a bit of everything along the way, but I don't think there's any fixed place that everyone should start.
so you do professional readings?
No, no, I don't. No,
Oh,
no, no.
oh.
No, I don't read for money. I don't read professionally. I really just read through YouTube, to be honest with you.
Is that a goal for you? Is that something you want to do?
It's not on the immediate horizon, but I've learned to say never, um, because you know things can change, can't they? Certainly me, I'm
Yeah.
quite a changeable, not in a bad way, changeable, but adaptable person. So yeah, maybe, but not in the immediate plans.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hi,
Neem.
Neem. Jinx. um, what was it going to say? Oh, yeah, I almost put a title on this live about us doing readings, but I was a little bit wary about strangers just jumping on to have readings done. And I'm at the stage where I'm still early enough in reading that I feel more or less comfortable in people that I kind of know a little bit from the community as opposed to total strangers. And
Right.
the more I know about them, the more it works for me in the reading. I can pick up on things. Because my sense of reading is more like, I feel more like a consultant than a reader. Like I sit with someone and they have an issue, and we'll see what the cards have to say, but then I ask them questions with relation to what I'm seeing, and we go back and forth, and maybe it helps them open up more about their situation through the visuals of the cards. Then they might be willing to just kind of tell me right at first, like, oh, I have this problem with my boyfriend and he's doing such and such. And so, yeah, it's kind of a guidance or roadmap or something for behavior, more than anything, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's good. It's a good when people ask for guidance about things. You know, you get the kind of questions that are quite nice to read fluently for, and then you get questions that for me, can be a bit difficult, and it is when you start verging into the more predictive type questions. There's something I was going to say there. Oh yeah, when you were talking about how you find it kind of easier when you know something about the person or you know them from the community, I feel that that can be quite a bit of a double-edged sword because yeah, sometimes it is easier to read when you know a wee bit more, but then again, sometimes I think if you know a person and the better you know a person, the harder almost they can become to read for, because you can start to kind of
Yeah,
second guess things. I think, you're not really relying on your intuition
yeah,
anymore. You're thinking about what you know of that person, and you're just saying, all right, okay, well, that's what I think that means, and that starts coming out in the reading. And I feel the more that I do that in my readings,
yeah.
the almost like the less accurate they become. Is that what
I
I'm trying to say?
I know what you mean, and I don't jump to that position. In
Mm,
fact, I don't usually like to know very much at all when I pull the cards. But after I pull the cards and look at the images and start reading, if something resonates, then I sort of like steer them in that direction, or like, well,
yeah,
this could mean this or this. Does either one of these two things resonate with you? Like, help direct me into which direction this might be,
yeah, yeah,
and then it might help me if I know which direction that card is. Then the other two cards might help me kind of flesh out that relationship of the three cards.
yeah. Masha's away off to work, by the way. So see you later, Masha. I hope
Okay.
you have a fantastic day at work, and I hope
Yeah.
that it goes
Bye,
in
Masha.
quickly for you.
And we don't have too many in the chat room, but I wanted to ask if people are willing to volunteer. How many of you do professional readings? If you just do a hands up or click an I do in capitals or something, I'm curious as to how many of you are readers. That's always weird to me too when people go into chats and they like to have other people read for them when they could do it themselves. I guess it gives them a different perspective, but sometimes I feel a
And
little inadequate. Like, they're a better reader than I am. Why are they asking me to read for them?
yeah, I don't think that's weird at all, because I'm not very good at reading for myself, if I'm totally honest. Uh, I find it quite difficult to read for myself, and I kind of get that. So I totally understand if other people have that same thing, where they might read cards, but they prefer, when they're looking at it themselves, they quite like to go in and get someone else to do their cards for them.
Yeah. Sophie does free readings, and Sarah would like to, and Neem reads only for herself, but a couple people asked her to do a reading. She was a bit panicky. Yeah, readings can change people's minds. That's true. Yeah, I don't like to be too demonstrative in my readings. I don't like to say, don't get on that plane, or this guy, don't go down the aisle with him, you don't marry the guy, or, I don't, that's too specific, abort the child now, it's like, please, it's just like, I don't get that specific.
Yeah, no,
Whereas
I
Al,
don't think that that's ever very helpful, though, is it? Like, I think if you're picking up on things like, right, okay, this person that you're, with, you might want to think about this. I'm seeing that this might be an aspect of their personality that you might want to kind of think about. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think that you can cross a line between giving advice and kind of imposing your opinion into the reading, which, yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it?
it's funny. There's this sitcom that I loved with Martha Plimpton. I don't know if it ever showed in the UK. It was called Raising Hope. It went off the air maybe 6, 7 years ago, but it was on for 3 or 4 years, and it was hysterically funny. And they had an episode about tarot reading, and it had to do with someone that this family knew who was like totally would do everything her psychic said through the cards. And the Martha Plimpton mother character thought she might get into it too. It's like she liked the idea of the power and the authority because she was sort of a busybody to begin with. And she liked being able to tell people what to do and having them do it. So she thought, plus they could make money off of it. She thought, this is the ideal career for me. So she started reading cards and it's funny, she didn't do any study at all. It was just like she was just like winging it like a con artist or something. In
Yeah.
fact, there's a very funny scene where she starts reading with an old maid deck that her granddaughter had left behind, and the cards got mixed in with her tarot deck. It was hysterically funny. I wish I could send everybody a link. Unfortunately, it's not I bought it, but it's not a free link kind of thing. But it's such a good episode.
What's it called, Robin?
Raising Hope.
Raising Hope, right? Okay.
Yeah, if you can find it, I'll see if I can find out which season and which number episode it is. If anybody wants to track it down, but it's so funny, and it's really speaks to that thing about hucksters and con artists and versus people who I wasn't even sure the so-called psychic woman in there who was a reader. She was like doing it in her kitchen, and all her kids were running around making noise, and even though she sort of had the attitude like she knew what she was doing, I didn't get the sense that she was totally serious about it.
I think tarot readers are portrayed. They can be portrayed quite comical and like TV and stuff, can't they?
Yeah.
I'm sure I saw. I don't know if it was from a film or a TV program, but the reader was basically just. It was as if she was reading loads and loads of stuff. She just kept putting cards down, but she wasn't saying anything. She was just coming out with these expressions like, mm-hmm, oh, like that. She was telling the person absolutely nothing.
Well, there was another character in this episode. She's reading for this guy. He's like a hippie type, greaser type with a mullet hairdo, and he's got this long rat tail on the back of his hair, like this braid that she hates. She thinks it's disgusting. So she turns over the Queen of Swords and she says, "Your mother wants you to cut that thing off." So it's like her way of getting him to cut off the rat tail on his mullet.
See, it's quite funny, isn't it? Because like you can use, like you'll get tarot readers that use it in a like myriad of different ways. So like, for example, you just described someone who uses it to be manipulative.
Yeah.
So as a tarot reader, they're embodying the devil, aren't they? Because they're using it to manipulate, they're using it to get their own way. Whereas you might get people who do it because they really love the aesthetic of it and they love how it pulls people in and brings attention onto them, which to me is quite magician. You'll get people that will want to use it for self-exploration. So you might say that that's either high priestess or hermit type energy. But I'm just going through. I'm thinking of all the different kind of all the different energies that you could embody as a tarot reader. And how different people come at it in different ways.
You just made me think of two different subjects. One of them is, which tarot card are you? But we'll get back to that in a minute. The other one is when you mentioned superstition. Initially, I thought, oh well, a lot of people have superstitions about the stereotype of the death card and the devil card and the tower card. In all the movies, let's see the death card. It's, oh, you're going to die, or somebody's going to die, And so that's the thing you sort of learn when you're learning tarot, that those old stereotypes are just like superstitions, and that's not what those cards are all about. So
yeah, when I first got a tarot deck, I was about 9 or 10 years old, right? And I was just so excited to get home and use it. I got home, I shuffled it very roughly, but obviously not properly. And the two cards that I pulled were Death and the Hanged Man. And I was like, Mum, look! And she was like, you need to read it first, you're not doing it properly. But yeah, that was my first. Even I was very, very kind of. I read it in the stereotypical way when I first pulled them, but that was because I hadn't even bothered to read the little white book. Never mind anything else.
I can see where the cards could be very off-putting to a newcomer, when the first time they discover those cards, because yeah, the Hanged Man and Death, yeah, very creepy
Totally.
cards.
But I
Yeah.
think that's a good thing because the tarot card is supposed to be the entire spectrum of human experience, isn't it? So there should be cards in there that make you feel warm and fuzzy. There should be cards in there that make you feel dark and uncomfortable. There should be cards in there that make you feel downright depressed when you pull them over and you see them, and there should be cards that really lift your spirits and make you feel dead happy. That's the whole point, you know. So no, I think it is a good thing that people do have those kind of visceral reactions. Is that the right word that I'm thinking?
Now you
Um,
got me wondering what you consider a warm and fuzzy card in the deck. Can you think of
eh,
one off the top of your head?
let's see, the world. That's got to be a warm and fuzzy card.
Okay.
The sun as well, I suppose. The sun. Try to think of some. The three of cups, the two of cups, warm and fuzzy, happy. You know.
Okay. Yeah, I get happy. I guess I just didn't think warm and fuzzy. I think of that like a teddy bear or something, so or a hug. And I don't really read those that way, but they are
Surely there's
comforting.
some
It's
cards, Robin. Surely there are some cards when you turn it over, it feels like a hug. It feels like your deck's giving you a hug, and it's telling you it's all right, Robin. Everything's going to be okay.
I have to think about that. Next time I
Yeah,
draw one, I'll let you know.
yeah.
But that brings me back to this other question. Is there a card in the deck that you identify with, like that's me, that's my card, or
That's such a difficult one because, like, I don't think that anyone, me included, is just one card. I
uh,
think that all of us at different times of the day, different times in our lives, just depending on how we're feeling, we embody different cards. So I think it's really, really hard to just put one, just pick one card for yourself. And that's why I don't ever use significators because I feel as though you would just be picking out a card that symbolizes a small part of yourself. And I don't see how that would give any benefit to a reading. But I suppose if you were to hold a knife to hold a knife to me and say pick one, um, I might pick the Page of Cups maybe,
oh,
just because Page of Cups is a bit of a dreamer, head up his backside, maybe a wee bit overly sensitive sometimes, which I'm definitely guilty of. Um, yeah, head in the clouds. That's me. So
are
yeah,
th-
probably Page of Cups would be one that I would pick.
are there any in the major arcana that you would identify with?
Uh,
I mean,
Good
along
question.
that lot, what you just said about the Page of Cups, that sounds like the Fool a little bit.
I guess, but
Oh,
then I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm the best at always dealing. I'm not always the best at dealing with things changing. You know, I can find it quite hard to let go. I can find it quite hard, especially when I feel as though things are changing just for the sake of it. If I can see the logic behind a change, then yeah. But if I feel as though change has been thrust upon me, then I'm not all. I can sometimes be a wee bit slow to kind of catch up with that. I think it just depends. So yeah, I don't know so much if I
well,
would
that
say the
that
full.
that could be an inverse reading of the Fool, a reversal.
Maybe,
Maybe.
yeah, maybe.
I mean, in every card, I see different aspects of it. So it's not always one thing. It could be the opposite. It could be both. It could be a combination. There's a lot going on in each card. But I was going to say I have three cards, and for three different
Yeah, hang
reasons.
on. You just held a knife to me, Robin, and made me pick one, so you can pick one.
No, I didn't. I did say a card, but I wasn't. If you, I mean, if you, there are different aspects. Well, let me explain. It's easier to explain.
Robin,
So,
see before, so as I'm not interrupting you, can I just catch some of the comments? Is that okay?
yeah, sure.
So it's just because I've seen my name. So Waterchild Tarot Sarah said, Chris, that's where Waterchild comes from. For me, it's an aspirational state. Personality-wise, I definitely identify with the Knight of Wands. Right? Okay, so that's quite a. It's funny because Knight of Wands is a real fiery. That's the fire of fire. You know, that's double fire energy. So for Waterchild to identify with the Knight of Wands, that really piques my interest. So it does. Aquarius, I was asking if I'm an Aquarian. No, I'm Scorpio. And Sophie says she thinks the Hermit fits. I was going to say, when you said major, whilst you were talking there, I thought about strength, but maybe more in a sort of reversed state, because sometimes I find it quite difficult to just be out with myself, and sometimes I do feel the need to kind of hold some of myself back. So maybe strength, sort of reverse, but not all the way reverse. Maybe just like a wee bit turned around. Right. So sorry, Robin.
The strength card can be a soft, a warm and fuzzy card, depending on the deck. The one in my deck is very warm and fuzzy, but some of them where they're like prying the jaws open isn't exactly warm and fuzzy. Others are more like a caress or something. But so anyway, yeah, I've always identified with the Hermit from the aspect of being very solitary and alone and just kind of like, going off to study or be alone, but then also the Magician, because I've dealt with so many different mediums. It's like I've done music and I've done sculpture and I've done, drawing and painting and writing, and so to me that's the Magician, like all these different skills and things. But in the minors, the one that I identify with most is the Three of Wands. And I think it's because I always kind of feel myself, I'm not a real spontaneous person. I'm always kind of like standing back with a sort of a longing to like move forward and accomplish or do things. And I don't know exactly what's holding me back, but I'm looking out on the horizon or looking out on possibilities and thinking, do I have the courage to take that first step or to go forward from this place where I'm at a standstill? So that's me, the Three of Wands, I think.
Right, okay. Cool. It's quite interesting that you picked a number card, I would guess that if you were to say to a lot of people to pick a card that they think represents them, not a lot of people would pick one of the Ace to 10.
Oh.
So yeah, that's interesting to me.
Oh, you mean they would go to court cards?
Yeah, I think naturally people would go either for one of the court cards or for one of the major cards that is a figure, it's a person, like Magician and High Priestess and that kind of thing,
They're almost all people, but I see them, I tend to read them all as situational, which is kind of an issue I have with the court cards anyway. They're less situational. And I think the reason possibly that people might pick a court card at first is because of that old superstition or rule or bugaboo or whatever. If you choose a significator, you choose one of the court cards to stand for you, which I don't particularly identify or relate to that. So
yeah. Waterchild Tarot Sarah has said old decks show show strength, clubbing the lion to death. Wow. See, that's quite interesting because for me, the lion is part of yourself. I don't think when I read strength, I don't look at the lion as being, another party or another entity. I look at the lion as being that part of yourself that wants to break free, and for whatever reason you're kind of you know, the strength card is the message behind that for me is, you know, it's time to let yourself shine, let everyone see who you are. Don't be ashamed. It's that kind of message. That I always I always liken it to that Diana Ross song, "I'm Coming Out." Anytime I read for people and the strength card comes up, chances are I'm going to mention that song because that's the kind of that's the energy that the strength card embodies for me. So if it was to show the lion being clubbed to death, I think I would struggle with that. I don't like I can read it because there's lots of different depictions in terms of what's happening with the lion. Like some show, you know, it's like the lion's already been tamed. You know, the person just has their hand on the lion's mane and the lion's very calm. Some show the person holding the lion's mouth open. You know, so the journey of strength for me is the journey of taming that inner self and bringing that inner self out, so I can handle any point along the way of taming the lion, but beating the lion to death for me it just goes in a whole other direction.
Yeah, when I did a premiere of my deck, I remember Simon specifically saying, "Oh, that really brings up the whole thing of inner strength," which I didn't see in the image. But I'm going to flash this on the screen and
Right.
see what you make of this particular strength card. See,
Oh
in
wow,
mine,
yeah.
in mine, I think it is kind of a warm and fuzzy hug, sort of. But I mean, how would you read this card if you got it in a draw?
Well,
I'm,
if you look at it, to me, it looks as though the animal is literally inside the person, you know?
uh-huh. Huh.
So just because it's obviously quite you know, it's quite a linear depiction.
Mhm.
That's how it comes across to me. So so yeah,
When,
I can see exactly what Simon means.
but when you say inside, you don't mean like they've eaten the animal, right?
No, well, not necessarily. It just looks as though that the animal is inside that person on your card.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, so that's what he meant by inner strength, that this outline is surrounding the lion figure. So the strength of
yeah,
the
yeah. So
lion is within the person.
yeah,
Oh,
that's how I
interesting.
would read it. And I would guess that's what he meant, but I suppose that's something for Simon to answer.
And I see a little bit in the face, I see a little bit of questioning, a little bit of self doubt, perhaps, which, like maybe, am I strong enough? Do I have the strength?
Yeah, definitely.
It is one possible reading of the card. Of course, it depends a lot on the question posed, I suppose. But yeah, I just want to get a general impression because I think this has the human and lion elements of the strength card, but it's different than others I've seen, and I just wondered what your take on it was going to be.
Yeah.
Try to think if I have any others handy that I can. Oh, what are you using tonight? Light seers?
Yeah.
Why don't you find the strength card in there so we can have a look at it?
Well, it was near the top. That never happens.
Oh, right. Now I remember. Well, that's kind of what like mine is. It's inside her, kind of. The
Yeah.
lion is on her face. It's sort of part of her being.
Yeah. When I drew the strength card, when I was drawing it, when I was you know, playing along with Shane and Elle's drawing course, I kind of took um inspiration from this image, and I kind of drew like the half human face, the half lion face.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, this is definitely a good image that works for me.
This is
Hi Donna.
this is from the Fournier, and this is typical, I guess. The woman prying the lion's mouth open.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there was that one. Oh, I wonder if I have it handy, that I showed you last time from the that Russian deck that was bizarre. It had a different viewpoint. Hi, Donna.
Was that the one that was switching cards around and stuff?
It was the one where she's like looking off the edge of the card, and it's from a different angle of the. Oh yeah, that's the right deck. But I mean, the strength card
Uh,
had a different perspective than other decks. Oh, here, I'm gonna have cards everywhere if I don't watch out.
right,
And
yeah.
I mean, here it's like it looks almost like she's just about ready to put her head in the lion's mouth. She's
Yeah.
got it open so wide, but she's also got it, sort of off screen there, her attention.
Yeah, I see it.
And then there was the one I had the other day that had, oh, this other Russian deck. This one looks like she's flossing the lion's teeth. Find it. Have you got any other decks there handy within arm's reach? Or no?
Yeah, all my decks pretty much are here.
Oh wait, hold on. Here she is. Oops. That's
Oh yeah,
quite a mouthful of teeth there.
that is, isn't it?
And I had to laugh a little bit when I saw this because it kind of looks like her dental floss got away from her. It's like formed a lemniscat over her head.
Sarah says, say ah,
Yeah.
say cheese. Is it the strength cards you're interested in seeing from different decks,
Yeah.
Robin? Is that what you're
Yeah.
asking? Right, hang on, let me see if I can find it in the Everyday Enchantment.
Put you back on the screen there. Oops.
Oh, there we go. This is quite an interesting one. So this is a strength card from the Everyday Enchantment. Can you see that well?
Is somebody sitting? Oh, with a dog?
Yeah,
Is
so
that a dog?
she's differently abled. She's in a wheelchair and she's
Oh.
got a dog with her. But then you can see like this kind of in fact, yeah, I think that's it. So in the Everyday Enchantment, it always shows like kind of mythical beings in each of the cards, and I think that's the fire dancing scene behind her is that kind of it's the mythical beings that are in there. But yeah, this is a nice card.
Interesting.
Yeah. Another one. So what I was talking about when I said some of them show it's as if the lion's been tamed. Let's see if I can find that. So this is the Canon Reed Witches Tarot that I've got here. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry, I should have said nudity alert, boobies alert.
Which deck
So
is that?
so this is the Canon Reed Witches Tarot.
Oh.
So that's quite interesting because obviously the lion's been tamed and the lion's licking the female character's face. So yeah.
I'm trying to find one here I want to show. I have no clue what it is because I haven't used this deck in a while. I have the Edmund Du Lac Tarot. I don't know if you know him. He did these late 1800s illustrations for children's books, fairy
Right.
tales and stuff. And this is one of those decks where they just kind of superimposed old fairy tales on the. Oh, no, okay. Well, this is obvious, I guess. They don't always work. This one works. I mean, this is an obvious choice. Oops. There we go. It's a woman walking a panther on a leash. So, yeah, that's not really a particular surprise, I guess. But
Yeah.
there's a lot. I wanted to use this tonight and sort of struggle with it a little bit in the reading because the images are not particularly suggestive to read with, I don't think. But I mean, it may take me in a different place. So we'll
Yeah.
give that a try.
Sophie mentioned the strength card from the Deviant Moon, so I've just looked that out.
I don't have that one. Oops. Why is this not exiting? Solo layout. Exit solo layout. Where are you?
The broadcast. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. I clicked the wrong button, I guess. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So that's the strength card from the Deviant Moon that Sophie had mentioned.
Wow. That's potent.
Yeah.
I don't
So
have that deck. Are you real comfortable with using it? What do you think of that deck?
I'm definitely getting more comfortable with it. I read with it for a bit when I was doing the readings with Lucian and Dave the other day. It's one I'm getting more comfortable with.
Is it
Uh,
new to you, or have you had it for a while?
I've had it for a number of years,
Oh,
but I've only had the book for a couple of months. The big Deviant Moon book. This one.
mm,
It's an absolute,
yeah,
like, it's
it's
a beast of
hefty.
a book, what it is, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, I've only had that for so long, but yeah, the Deviant Moon, it's I do really like it. Um, there were a couple of the cards that I struggled with before, but what I've done is I've now looked up the cards that I struggled with, and I think I understand them a wee bit more. And it's nice because I like doing that with decks because not only does it broaden my understanding of that deck, but it also those cards that I was uncomfortable with in that deck, it's broadened my kind of understanding of them on the whole.
yeah.
So it is,
It,
so I can pull on that whenever I'm reading that card from any deck now, which is nice.
it challenges you. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's one of the things I liked when you and I did readings before. Well, I mean, I can't always see your cards, but I like to get somebody else's take on a card. Um, it sort of expands my perception of that card when I can see how somebody else reads it,
Yeah, thanks
which is
about it.
one of the things I like about Jen's tarot play date, because you get,
Definitely.
a dozen or more different, ideas about what the images are saying in a card.
Absolutely, I've learned so much from those. It's unreal. I highly recommend it to anyone. Yeah, I love Jen's tarot play date. But yeah,
Deviant Moon is Aquarius Owl's, no, Sophie's favorite deck. Yeah. I don't have that one. I go back and forth on Patrick Valenza. I think I have
right,
about every deck but that one. And
right, okay,
in fact, I had not really gotten into the Trionfi della Luna too much. Initially, I did because I liked the antique palette of it. which is very similar to, I just discovered the other day, the Patishi deck. They both have that kind of brown paper look to them and sagey colors and, dried blood kind of. And I dragged it out when I was playing with the Marseille decks, and it gave me kind of a new appreciation for it to have a look at it again the other day.
Yeah. So have you got a Triumph?
Yeah, the regular one, not the multi, the different colored versions.
Right.
I
Okay, yeah.
like the kind of antique looking coloring in that particular deck. I had trouble with the Deviant Moon because what is it? Partially maybe because the renderings look so kind of almost computer graphic-y or something, but also the deck to me had a kind of a industrial quality that I didn't like, sort of like the seamy industrial side of some dark city at night, where there are like nasty things happening in greasy alleyways, or steam belching, funnels and chimneys and whatnot. I don't know. It's just like, ugh. I just couldn't relate to the imagery somehow.
It's not for everyone, I suppose. I really like it.
But he does use similar imagery in the Triumphi and in these other decks. Like I like his Abandoned Oracle. I think is my favorite of all his decks, and I'm really not much of an Oracle person.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so Aquarius Owl says that she really likes Deviant Moon as well. Haven't used it in a while, but it's coming on vacation with me. That's exciting. Where are you going on vacation, Aquarius Owl? Is it anywhere nice? Yeah, and Sophie had said it's currently her favourite.
Gee, that wouldn't jump to my mind as the first deck to bring with me on vacation. That's interesting.
I really like it. It's special to me because my fiance bought me Deviant Moon. So it's always going to have a special place for me.
Did you want it before that, or how did he come to pick it for you?
Because I'd given him a kind of list of decks that
Okay.
I was interested in, and he went through and looked at them, and he picked out that one because that was the one that he liked the best.
Okay.
So yeah, it's
Yeah, so there again, he had an inkling because you gave him a list, but I wondered if it was because it was something he knew was to your taste that you'd like, or because it appealed to his sensibilities,
right. I guess a bit of both then, because I'd given him a, a pre-approved list,
Yeah.
and then he went through and picked it.
Does anybody in the chat, I know we don't have a whole lot of people here, but is there anybody who'd like a reading? We've been on a little over an hour, and I don't quite know where we're going with the conversation, which is fine. Or if anybody has a question in general they'd like us to chat about, that could be fun too. So I was saying Justin just listed, he's on vacation, went on vacation this week, and he took like 6 or 7 decks with him. I thought, what are you doing on your vacation? You're going to spend all your time doing cards if you got 7 decks. And they were all Marseille decks, I think. So,
right, okay.
So he's doing a lot of studying, I guess. Hello,
Yeah.
Carrie. Oh, Carrie just stepped in.
Yeah.
And would like a reading. So, Carrie,
I've got Sophie question. As well. Sorry, Sophie said I do first.
Okay, put them in capitals, please, your questions, and we'll get to them. Sarah says there's a Russian deck she just saw today. I wondered if I liked. Hang on, she's going to find it. I bought 2 Russian decks, 3 Russian decks. No, 2 Russian decks and a Polish deck recently. And the Russian ones took forever to arrive. One of them was that one I just showed you with the flossing strength card. That was the Happy Star Tarot.
Say cheese lion.
I guess I should pull out some cards so I can.
Yeah, start shuffling. So we have both questions actually. So Sophie has said, what is my financial situation looking like for the next few months? And Carrie has said, well, we'll focus. I won't read them both. I'll focus on Sophie's question and then we can read out Carrie's. How's that sound?
Okay. Oh, I forgot. I was going to show you my new card holder, but I'll use that when it's my turn. I'll let you go first whenever you're ready. Let me put you on full screen here. I hope I don't block you out of the chat, the stream.
Okay. Sophie, I think correct me if I'm wrong here, but I read for you the other day, and I think I might have pulled this card for you, which is interesting. So the situation is the Three of Pentacles. We're really honing in on the work here, aren't we? The Three of Pentacles is the work card, as it were, and very much picking up on working with other people in this card. Okay, so the three is about growth. Three is when shit starts to get real. I suppose if you different people like to think of the numerology in different analogies, okay, but I like the plant. So the ace is when you plant the seed, or when the seed is planted. Um, the two is when those roots start to form, it starts to establish itself, it starts to establish foundation. But the three is when those shoots start coming up, when that plant starts becoming some kind of plant, when it starts becoming a real plant and it's not just a seed with roots, which could be anything. Okay. So in terms of your financial situation, what this is telling me is that you're in the right place. You keep doing what you're doing. Okay. Now I know I do actually know a wee bit about Sophie's current situation, and I know that Sophie's just starting out on a new kind of job. So what this is saying to me is keep going with what you're doing, keep going in your new job, keep learning, continuing to learn. Hands-on as well. It doesn't all have to be theoretical studying, sitting with the books, highlighting stuff and all that. The three is very much about action, more so than the two. For me, a two is more about that kind of, you've got your mind maps, you've got your books and your highlighters, you're taking notes. Two is a planning card for me, but three is actually, right, let's start getting into the meat of this. Okay. So yeah, that and I know that I'm almost reading for the employment situation and not the financial situation, but because the two are linked, I don't think that's so bad. So yeah, that's what I see in the three. Now we've got the Seven of Wands coming up. All right, challenges, which is only natural. Whenever we start out in a new venture, quite often what we find is that we are challenged, and financially we'll be challenged, because we're at that starting level, that new phase. We're at the very kind of basic pay level, the base pay level, the new entry pay level. Quite often what we do when we look and we say, right, this is the job that I want to do, we apply for the job and we get it. We do that at some part of our minds. We have in mind what you're going to get paid for doing that job. So for example, if I was to decide I want to be a doctor, obviously, if I would be a good person and I would want to be a doctor to help people, but there would always be some part of my mind that's on, right, okay, well, I know that doctors get paid really well, but when you're just starting out, to be a doctor, even if we take, you know, the university side of it out of it, the learning side of it out of it, you've still got that whole, you know, being an intern and, you know, the whole thing where you're working like 24 hours a day and you're not really reaping the benefits of it. You've still got that stage to go through. All right. So it's what I'm saying is it's natural when you're throwing yourself into a new setting that there are going to be challenges. But the nice thing about the 7 is it's challenge with a promise of success. You know, the 7 isn't one of those cards that's saying, you know, quit while you're ahead, just stop, turn the page, move on, do something different. That's not the message of the 7. The message of the 7 is you've got this. You know, you might have 7 people coming at you with multicolored wands and trying to attack you, but you're in a place where you've got this, and just you stand your ground and you keep doing what you're doing because you're doing the right thing. So withstand those challenges if you can. In terms of finance, Sophie, obviously that's like kind of budgeting. Budgeting's going to be important for you. Just make sure that you can get yourself through the challenges, and once you kind of get through to the next phase where you start reaping more of the financial benefits, then that's that phase is coming, but you just need to kind of get yourself there. And then the final card that I've pulled is the Fool. So I look at the third card as a kind of outcome card. It might be that, you know, you might go in a slightly different direction from what you feel you are now. It might be that what you're learning just now and what you're striving for financially, it's going to put you in a position where you can do something else, maybe go down a slightly different route. So yeah, don't. Obviously, the idea behind getting a tarot reading is it gives you things to think about. I'm not telling you this is your future and that is what's going to happen. But what I am saying to you is you're going to have that full energy about you. So if you get to a point where you feel like, actually, I want to do something a wee bit different, I want to throw myself into something else, then you'll be in a good position to do that. So yeah, I hope that helped. I know I rambled a wee bit. Sorry, Robin. I feel as though I went on a wee bit there. So what cards have you pulled?
No, it's fine. It actually gave me a little time to regroup and consider my cards. But before I go to that, refresh me in terms of the 3 you have from left to right. What were the numbers?
So you can tell me if I'm holding these up the wrong way, because it's hard for me to tell.
Well, I won't be able to see them, but I can't really make out the images. Just tell me the names of the cards.
So I got the 3 of Pentacles, I got the 7 of Wands, and I got the Fool.
Okay. Okay. Now, I have to give a little disclaimer here because I'm still new to Marseille, but I tend to approach Marseille by translating the cards to RWS in my head, which is probably not the way one should be reading Marseille, but it's what I'm doing at the moment. And yet I'm adding other stuff in too. This is my new little display, which is kind of helpful, although you can't see the bottoms of the cards, but it helps me show them off a little bit better. The central card is the 8 of Wands, which in the Rider-Waite system is like you've got a lot of stuff flying at you. There's a lot of energy going on. And for me, this is your central card, Sophie. This is you at the center of the situation, feeling like you've got a lot to deal with at the moment. I also see that central wand sort of crisscrossed and blocked by all those other wands. So it seems a little bit overwhelmed by all the activity going on around you. Now, it looks like you might need to consult somebody here with a little bit more authority on your situation. a father figure, an authority figure, a financial advisor. I'm not really sure who this figure is, but they may know more about your financial situation than you do. It might be your boss. It might be your partner. It might be your banker. I'm not really sure. And then over here we've got the Ace of Cups, and it's a covered cup. It's I would say the beginning of new feelings about something that you're perhaps keeping to yourself or keeping enclosed at the moment. So you have feelings of, someone said it's the Nine of Wands.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is the Nine of Wands. What did I say? The Eight. I wonder why I said the Eight. Well, the Eight would be, okay. So let me think a minute about the Nine of Wands. Okay. That is kind of, that's the being left out kind of card, or the keeping other people out card, depending on how you read the Nine of Wands. So I would say it's still kind of an outsider card, that she's in a situation that separates her from other stuff going on, and I'm because I my mind went to the Eight. There must have been some reason why I went to the Eight. So I still think there's probably a lot of activity or a lot of action, a lot of things going on around her. And the Nine card, it's almost claustrophobic, usually all those wands, but it can also be a barrier or a wall keeping others from entering in or keeping yourself from stepping out. I don't know if any of this resonates with you, Sophie, or maybe none of it does.
She's saying
um,
it resonates.
okay. I don't know what to, does the Hermit, I mean the Hierophant, mean anything to you in terms of that authority figure in this situation? I have to scroll back to see what her question was. It was related to finances, wasn't it?
Yeah,
What's my financial
financial
situation look like
situation.
for the next few months? For the
It's
next few
interesting
months. Well,
because, sorry,
for the next few months may relate to that middle card too in terms of numbers. I'm not one that generally reads numerology into it, but it may be the sort of it could be a 9 month period. I don't know. What were you going to say, Chris?
um, what I'm looking at there is, like, obviously you've got the Nine of Wands, which is the Nine of Fire, so that's quite a high fire energy. Fire being, like, probably the most volatile of all the elements. So what that is the central card. What that suggests to me is, to directly address Sophie's question, it might be that the next few months financially it's going to be quite volatile. It's going to have its ups and it's going to have its downs, which I think is kind of in keeping with the spirit of my reading.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at one side, I know that you read the central card as being the kind of main one, and then you've got the kind of two sides.
Yeah.
So on one side, you've got the Hierophant. Now, the Hierophant to me represents, the community and the people around about you, and traditions and things like that. It might be that one option for Sophie is to draw from the community, and if we're looking at finances, then that could potentially be a loan of some sort, yeah. At the other side, you've got the Ace of Cups, which is a very kind of new novice energy. So it could be that Sophie's got a choice of, and at a time when finances can be quite kind of up and down, there are going to be times when you're going to have more money than others. Um, think about your different options. Your Ace of Cups is maybe more in line with the kind of thing that I was saying, where when I was talking about when I was defining the Seven of Wands, I was saying, stand your ground, just get yourself there by getting there type thing. To me, that's your Ace of Cups. That's like learning to kind of deal with that new kind of situation that you're in. But alternatively, another option for you might be to look at some sort of loan draw and really thinking about that community and that Hierophant that for me brings in other people, it brings everybody else. For me is how I look at the Hierophant. Obviously, what I would say is just because we're talking about finances, and I think if Carrie, if you're still here and still listening, you could probably draw from this as well. When we're looking at finances, we're not obviously financial advisors. If you're looking at your finances and you're looking for advice on what to do with them, serious advice, then obviously speak to a financial advisor and stuff if that's the right thing for you to do. Especially when we're talking about loans being a potential avenue there, Sophie. Obviously, like don't go and take out loans just based on a tarot reading, especially because some loans can absolutely, they'll take you for everything you've got. So that's always something you need to be really careful around. So I just feel the need to kind of add that in there when I started talking about loans there.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that you said that you read that as community, because I've never read it that way, and that gives me something to think about. Because I've always read that as sort of an authority figure or a teacher or somebody schooled in tradition or the traditional way of doing things. That
Yeah, but where does
an
that tradition
advisor.
come from, Robin? That tradition comes from, either if it's an organized religion, you've got that whole religion there, or it might be an ancestral thing where you've got the people coming down. It might be the community. Those traditions might come from your particular setting where you are. But for me, that idea of tradition, the idea of the Hierophant, it's all about that. It's like kind of learning from the outside. It's learning, taking in knowledge and learning from the people that have done it before. That's always for me been Hierophant. Whereas like your High Priestess or maybe your Hermit energy is more about going within and really, learning what it means to you and for you. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about when I say community and from the outside in. That's I guess that's what I would say my theory is behind that, if that makes
Well,
sense.
if you look at it strictly as a religious community, the card, and think about people inside of a church, I don't normally think about the community around me in the other pews. I think of the leader, so to speak, of the community up front, sort of preaching to the masses. So yes, it is a community in a sense. It's just something I wouldn't have focused on, but now it's given me, another facet to think about. I still think that when I pulled that card, I'm going to gravitate towards leader, teacher, educator, someone espousing something to the community, as opposed to the disciples or whatever, the supplicants below, as part of the community taking that on. But I appreciate you've given me now more to think about with that card.
It's okay. Will we have a wee look at
Carrie's,
Carrie's question then?
yeah, what was the question again?
So she said, what can I do to improve my income, creative work, or commercial employment? That's interesting. So what I think I'll do for this actually, Carrie, is I'll do an option spread. Since you've given us one or the other, I'm going to pull a card for the kind of general, and then I'll pull one card for each commercial employment and creative work. If that's okay. Thank you. Okay,
What was it about
interesting.
school? She said something about more school.
That was when
Oh,
she was
oh,
talking
oh.
about how the she sees the Hierophant.
Okay.
I've got my cards. I can start reading if you want.
Okay, let me pop you in here.
Thank you. Okay, this is the kind of central card that I've pulled. The kind of general card, and you might see this as representing your situation, or you might see this as representing you, Carrie. So we've got the Knight of Cups, and a rather handsome Knight of Cups, I might add. Just throwing that in there. Knight of Cups is the fire of water. You know, the knight being that kind of fire energy, and the cups obviously having that being ruled by water. It's got that water energy. So it's interesting that we've got a fire and water card where we're at when we're asking a one or the other question, isn't it? Um, the knights are traditionally a very active type of person. You know, knights are all about action. They're about movement and for me and the court or the family, they're the ones that are like kind of do like the worker bees. They're the ones that are doing the majority of the work, um, which you might think lends itself more to the kind of commercial employment idea, depending on what the employment is, I suppose. But then you've also got this water energy coming in. You've got this cup energy, and that's all about I suppose on surface level, it's about our emotions and our emotional connections to other people and how we connect with people and stuff like that. If we go a wee bit deeper into the cups, you might think of it as being about your connection to your subconscious. So your emotions are, your emotions come from your subconscious, which is where the emotion part comes into it. But the subconscious is also, your creative side. It also speaks to more your intuition and things like that, which is why people who read cards and deal in divination and things like that, they identify with the kind of water side of things because it is all about that kind of that intuition, um, you know, going within and stuff like that and drawing from your subconscious. So that might lend itself more to the kind of creative side that you're looking at. So it is interesting. What that tells me is that you have the potential there to do either. You could be really quite successful in either. I don't think that you're strictly going to be limited to one thing. And I think if you apply yourself to either, you could make a success of either. All right. Now, let's just have a wee look at the other cards that I've pulled because these are quite interesting. And just as a wee heads up, these might both come across as quite negative cards because, traditionally they are quite negative cards in the tarot. So for the commercial employment side of things, I've pulled the Tower. Okay. If we think about the story of the Tower, if we think about what the Tower is some uncontrollable natural force coming from above, and it breaks down everything that we've striven so hard to build. Okay. Um, and what this is saying to me in terms of commercial employment, obviously when we're employed in an industry, in the kind of when we take a job, unless we somehow we're self-employed and we are our own bosses, you're always going to be at the mercy of a master. There's always going to be that master-servant relationship. So there's always going to be, to a degree, some lack of control there. There's always the chance that someone might come along and that could take away what you've got. So that's maybe it's one of the negatives that we all have to deal with in commercial employment. But I mean, we get around that by looking at um, we look at that particular sector, we look at how stable jobs are in that sector. There's ways around this, but it's just one of the questions you might want to ask yourself is how well are you going to be able to deal with being at someone else's mercy, having to do what someone else tells you, um, if you're quite a creative person, if you're given a task, you might be thinking in your head, "Oh God, I could be doing this such a better way. There's a better way of doing this." Quite a lot of employers won't really be interested in that to a degree. They'll basically want you to do the job and do it as you're told to do it. So that's maybe just a wee thing to think about in the commercial employment direction. And by the way, there's a lot of employers that aren't like that. There's a lot of employers that actively encourage people to speak up and be innovative and come up with ideas and stuff like that. So that's not always necessarily going to be the case, but as I say, it's just something to think about. Going in the other for the last card, and this was the creative. Oh, I forget exactly how you termed it now. Sorry. Creative work. All right. We've got the Nine of Swords. When we're in creative work, when we're producing something that's ours, that's come from our hearts, that's come from our heads, however we feel we've produced that, that's our. You almost feel like that's your baby. If you've created something and you've put that out into the world, um, the emotional energy and the psychological energy can be really, really, really high. The anticipation, the anxiety, the stress of it all. It can really get to us. Um, if you're the type of person who might feel quite personal about people's reactions to your work, then it could, that this might be a challenge that you might need to overcome. You know. So that's definitely another thing to think about in the kind of creative work direction. Okay. Obviously with the Nine of Swords and particularly looking at this one, it's not all kind of that kind of darker energy. Obviously there's some light here. One of the birds is light. If you're quite good at engaging your conscious mind, at looking at the situation and being very kind of logical about things and saying, right, okay, I know that I felt a wee bit shitty and this is how I felt, but in actual fact, these are the things that are in front of me. I'm inventing some problems here. I'm kind of, I'm letting my subconscious get kind of almost go away with me a wee bit. If you're quite good at that, if you feel that you're quite good at, engaging that conscious mind, being very kind of analytical about things, and using that as a tool to alleviate some of that stress on your mind, then definitely, like, this is something you want to go for, but just be wary that that is maybe one of the obstacles that you might want to overcome. So I'm sorry that was very kind of honed in on the negatives. I didn't mean it to come out like that, but it might be that you feel the need to start thinking about the negative aspects. Maybe that was your intention, and that's why those cards came forward for us. Definitely what I'll say though is also think about the positives. Don't just look at the cons when you're thinking about each of these things. Think of the pros as well. All right, because sometimes it will be the pros that make it for you. And the central card there was, the message of that was, you can make it in either. You just need to decide what one's right for you. Robin.
Well, I'm sorry to keep doing this to you, since
No, you're
it
okay.
took a while there and I lose my train. What were the three cards again?
So I got the Knight of Cups, the Tower, and the Nine of Swords.
Okay. Yeah, my cards are a mess. I don't know what to make of them. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to read these, and I don't know if it's I wasn't focused enough on the question when I shuffled, or what. I actually did two pulls from two different decks. The first one, I thought maybe I didn't shuffle it enough, because I got the Page of Coins, the Knight of Coins, and the Seven of Swords. And I thought, oh my God, I got one card right after the other, the Page and Knight in the same suit. That's a little odd. But anyway, so I went easy on myself with the RWS 2.0, and then I went hard because I thought, oh, well, I don't know about those two cards falling one right after the other. Maybe I didn't get it right. So then I did another draw with the Du Lac cards, which I'll show you in a moment. But let's talk about these three first.
Remember, we're talking about finance, Robin, and we're talking about how we can look to grow finance. So the
Yeah,
fact that you've got two Pentacles cards, one after the other,
yeah.
is totally fitting, in my opinion, anyway. Sorry, I
I,
just wanted to throw
well,
that in before you started
yeah.
reading.
I see this as a sort of an initialization, like a beginning of an idea relating to finances, and then sort of taking some action, riding forward on that horse. So it's kind of a progression. I'm not sure what to make of the third card with this. There's some sort of deception, possibly, or some turn that may be unpredictable in this plan. So I guess keep an eye out for pitfalls as you're moving forward, perhaps in this. If you've got an idea about a financial plan or career path that you're considering, then keep an eye out for suspicious things, little red flags. He's wearing a little red hat, so little red flags that pop up along your way. And it's red shoes too, so it's maybe walking into your path, walking in your direction. Keep an eye out for something that might block your path, that might keep you from accomplishing what you want to accomplish. So actually that did sort of pan out in a way. The second trio is from the Du Lac deck, and these are like, I wanted to challenge myself, but boy, does this challenge me. You can't even make out the cards. Let me see if I can make them bigger at least. Yeah, they're so hard to read. Well, first we've got the Judgment card, which you can't really see. It's very kind of foggy and misty. There's a figure in the fog, sort of passing judgment or making a judgment call. In the middle, you've got the Death card, so that's a transition of some sort. And in the third card, you've got the Five of Pentacles. So we do have a pentacle in there. So, so there does seem to be some sort of transition related to finances, or whether it's a judgment made on your behalf.
For me, looking at your cards with the knowledge of what I've just read in my own reading, I can almost feel as though the first three from the 2.0,
Yeah.
they were almost, for me, looking at the commercial side, whereas the next three from the, what was that second deck you used, by the way?
Edmund Du Lac.
Du Lac. Those three for me were kind of really looking at the creative kind of side, just with the stuff I was picking up on from when I was reading and from when you were talking about them there. But yeah, on the industrial side, you've got the Page. He's becoming the Knight, so he's going in and he's learning how to do whatever the industrial job is, the industrial sector that he's throwing himself into. He's going in as a novice. There's promise there that he's going to be able to progress into the Knight, so he'll be able to find some standing. But then just be careful because you've got that Seven of Swords in there. So there's not everything is unicorns and rainbows. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is maybe something there you need to watch out for. And I loved when you said red shoes, because now if Carrie does choose to go down that route, the minute she sees that bitch in those red shoes, she's going to be like, there you are. You
Yeah.
stay away from me, demon.
Red hat and red shoes. So I said,
Yep.
yeah, little red flag. Oh, and there's flags on the tent. So,
Yep.
keep
So,
an eye out
Carrie,
for
if you
those
see anyone wearing a red fez and and red boots, just you Stu, keep to keep away away from them. No, but obviously there's some suggestion that there might be some deception there, and it may well actually be that we don't know where the deception's coming from. We don't know if it's Carrie deceiving herself. We don't know if it's someone else who's going to try and act in an underhand way towards Carrie. But again, it's just that kind of thing. Like this is something that you might come up against. This is something that you might want to watch out for.
Well, in the second one too, we had Judgment, Death, and the Five of Pentacles. And now, in the Five of Pentacles, I mean, this is a depiction of a rooftop in the fog or smoke or whatever. I don't know what to make of that, but in the typical Five of Pentacles, you see these figures out in the cold. And I'm not sure what to make of that. I was thinking, oh, maybe she needs to go into like public service work or helping the underprivileged or something. I mean, that's where my mind went. But
Yeah.
I mean, and that can be creative too. But I don't know why that card popped in. You know.
I see it as being out in the cold. I see the Five of Pentacles as being quite a lonely card. And again, same with this Nine of Swords, because you do feel very alone in that when you've got that Nine of Swords energy going on. It's that high mental energy. You're very much stuck in your head. So maybe the message is, creative work can be quite a lonely game. You are stuck by yourself a lot of the time. You can be stuck a lot in your own head, especially if it's like kind of artistic type.
She
Where
says
you're just
she's newly alone. So that's
right.
something.
Okay. So, Carrie, if you're newly alone and you're thinking about ways to improve your financial situation, and your options are commercial versus creative, and I'm assuming creative to be a more kind of working for yourself, lonesome type work, but maybe it's not. Maybe you've got some sort of plan, but it's not. But what I was going to say is, maybe one of the factors that you might want to take into play here is you might want to think about you're going to need people around you. You might need company. I work from home just now because of the whole corona apocalypse situation, and I find that really difficult being in the house by myself. So definitely make that one of your factors and one of your things that you're taking into account, because your mental well-being is very, very important. So if you're going to need company, if you're going to need to be around people, which a lot of us do, then have a think about that and just take that into account as one of your factors.
Chris, I just want to butt in here. I just noticed she said she pulled the Page and Knight of Coins yesterday with the same question. Whoa. It's something.
Yeah. You had Judgment and Death as well, didn't you, Robin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Judgment for me is like kind of it's all about looking inside and addressing the things that your past, things that you might have ignored before. What it maybe suggests is that in order to pursue that endeavour, there might be things that you need to kind of draw a line under and move on from, that have maybe been holding you back. And if you said that you're newly alone, then maybe that kind of speaks to that situation a wee bit. Coming in with the Death card, it's that sudden massive change in your life. And again,
She says
yeah,
by creative, she meant unorthodox, really, not
not
artistic.
artistic, right? Okay, cool. Well, I still think take into account the company, the kind of having people around you situation. I'm not saying that that's what you need to do, but definitely let it be one of your factors in your thinking when you're thinking about it.
She says it's almost as if both seem like dead ends. I think there may be a third option for income that I haven't thought of, not commercial, not creative.
Okay. Or maybe it's a combination of the two. Maybe they don't necessarily need to be different things. Maybe you can find a nice blend of the two that works for you. But
So,
sorry, Robin.
I'm sorry. No, go
No, not
ahead.
at all. No, I was just going to say, you know, the best judge of, both these readings is Carrie. So if you're looking at these and you're thinking it's maybe looking as though they're both not looking ideal, they might both be dead ends, then you're the best place to kind of make that judgment. But yeah, definitely think about some sort of combination. And if you feel as though you need to kind of keep your options open, then do keep looking because something will pop up. There's something out there for everyone, isn't there? Sorry,
Yeah,
Robin.
I was going to say we're almost at the 2 hour mark, so I'm pretty much ready to go. I don't
Okay.
know whether we want to entertain one more question or whether we just want to pull a card for the week. What are you thinking? Does anybody
Was there
have?
anyone else who actually wanted to ask a question?
Not yet. We can put that
No.
out there if there is anybody.
Well, if we're reaching the 2 hour mark, oh,
Yeah.
Sarah's back and she said, before you go,
What you got, Sarah?
but yeah, if there's no one else who has a question, then we could just pull a card for everyone for the week. Oh, Sarah was going to ask about a deck. No, you're fine. Don't you worry. You're not
Oh,
interrupting anything.
that what was it called? Golden Wheel or something? Yeah, I've seen that deck before. I don't know. It's pretty, but it just doesn't do anything for me. The Tarot of the Golden Wheel, Slavic fairy tales. I tend to like fairy tales and I like pretty decks, but I don't know. Somehow that one just didn't grab me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you
I
seen
think
that
I need
one?
to I think I need to look into that deck that you read with there, Robin. The second deck you read with, because that looked really nice to me.
Which one? Oh, just
The
now?
second one, the one with Judgment, Death, and the Five of Pence.
Oh, oh man, it's a mess.
The
it's
deck
got
is.
some, it's got some beautiful art images,
Uh-huh.
and it's low Scarabeo. I mean, they're these sort of pre-Raphaelite, very romantic images, but a lot of them are very dark,
Right,
and
okay.
and I don't find it an easy read. In fact, I rarely look at it. I just stumbled across it in organizing my shelves earlier, and I thought, oh, I haven't looked at that in a while. Let me use it for a reading tonight. But I find it problematic. I just need to spend more time working with it, I think.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't help that my lighting is crap and the deck is dark too. So, you need to be able to see those images to read with them.
Yeah. Right, okay, guys. What we'll do then is we'll just pull a wee card for the collective. Just a card to look at the week ahead for us all. Just see what the cards have got to say. Ooh. Shall I go first then? I've got my
Sure,
card.
sure.
I've got Temperance. So message for the week for everyone. So what could Temperance be trying to say to us? For me, Temperance is all about trying to achieve balance in your life. It's about taking the different aspects in your life and getting that equilibrium. And a lot of the cards you'll see someone dealing in water and fire. In this particular card, the Temperance is holding he's holding the sun in one hand and the moon in the other, and it's kind of almost combining those two energies. Um, you know, Either way, what we need to be thinking about this week is the different areas of our lives. So we've got work, we've got family, we've got, whatever else we've got going. It can sometimes be quite difficult to achieve balance in all of those things. And sometimes we come out of a week just thinking, geez, oh, I don't know what happened there. You know, That was just an absolute bitch of a week. Can't wait for the weekend. Can't wait to start over again. Let's just start from scratch. The temperance energy being around us for the week suggests that we're going to be able to achieve that balance. What I would say, and one thing that occurred to me, I think it was through the week there. I don't know if anyone knows James Feeney from Limnescott Logic, but he talked about, he did a video, and his video was from the point of view that he reads with Thoth quite a lot, and temperance in Thoth is called art. So his video was, I believe, to come at it from a point of view of, looking at temperance being art versus looking at it being temperance. But anyway, sorry, I'm rambling. One of the things that I really picked up from that is we talk about achieving balance and we talk about getting that equilibrium. That's not always necessarily a 50-50 job, Things have their own proportions. It really depends on what you're doing, If you're, for example, pouring yourself a drink, if you're making yourself an alcoholic beverage, my preferred alcoholic beverage is vodka and Coke, so I'll use that as an example. If you 50-50 that, you're going to have a hell of a strong drink, and that's going to absolutely blow the socks off you, isn't it? My personal measures might be quite close to 50-50, but we won't go there. So yeah, not everything in life is all about 50-50. If it was, achieving that balance would be such an easy thing to do, wouldn't it? Because we would just know, right, okay, I need to spend 10 minutes on that and 10 minutes on that. Or, I want 50% that and I want 50% that. Or it might be, 5 lots of 20%, but anyway, not everything is strictly equal. That's what the journey of temperance is. It's about finding those right proportions. It's about finding that balance and finding what works for you, because what works for you won't necessarily be the same thing as what works for me. So that balance, that energy is about us this week. So let's really use it. Let's use it to have a week where we come out feeling enlightened, where we come out feeling that we've really achieved something, and that we've really managed all of the different areas of our lives to the best of our ability. Because we have that potential's there. That's me.
Okay. Strangely enough, I pulled the strength card again.
That's been kind of theme, hasn't it?
Yeah. So, everybody stay strong this week. Find inner strength, find your courage, embrace your insecurities, and try to move above and beyond them and go out into the world. I actually had a doctor's appointment this morning, and we were talking about my health, and I'm doing pretty well, but she said, "Oh, you really need to get more exercise." I said, "Well, I've been staying at home an awful lot. The only thing I'm lacking is I haven't been getting any exercise." And she goes, "Well, I know it's kind of hot out there, but, try to get out and walk a little bit. You're right near the park, walk through the park. You don't need to be so quite as crazy as things have been." She goes, "There's only at the moment 300 confirmed COVID cases in New York. So the numbers are way down. So still wear a mask, but, don't hide out in the cave at home, go out there and get some fresh air." So I think that's something that I need to do this week probably, is not feel so afraid and feel so worried about my health, and still take precautions. There's no reason in being foolish about it, but, have the strength to embrace things that need to be done, to keep yourself balanced, keep yourself in a place of good emotional and physical health and well-being. So I guess that's the strength card for this week, and I suppose that applies to anything any of you are involved in taking on.
Brilliant. Um, Waterchild Tarot says it's interesting seeing Temperance as a male figure. I agree, but I believe actually, if you look into it, I think on the Rider-Waite-Smith, I think Temperance is actually a male. It's one of the archangels or one of the angels, I'm sure. You know, one of the ones that we hear quite a lot. Well, I'm saying we. I was raised a Roman Catholic, so maybe I would hear about that kind of stuff more than the average Joe. But yeah, I think Temperance is actually a male. Although I agree, it does look quite it does look quite a feminine figure.
I'll see
Um,
if I can grab him real quick. It's probably at the bottom of the deck, but
I've got it here. We'll see who
oh wait, you said Temperance, right?
Temperance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right
oh, there we
here.
go. Robin, I'm going to point something out to you. Right,
Yeah,
this is one of those things that once you see it, you can never unsee it. So if you would rather I just shut up than tell me right now, but
okay.
you're not. So I'm going to go on, and everyone in the chat's the same. So look at Temperance's feet. Right, the Temperance card you've got there. Look at its feet.
Yeah.
Do you not think next to its left foot that looks like a chicken drumstick?
Where under the foot?
Under the foot,
Here?
yeah, it's got a chicken drumstick.
Oh yeah, I never noticed that before. It's two stones, but yeah, it kind of does. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it depends what RWS deck you've got. Depends how it's been coloured, but yeah, and a lot of in some decks more than others, it definitely looks like a chicken drumstick. It was BJam that pointed it out to me, and I've never been able to unsee it. So now I thought I would just
Ruin it for
share
me.
that the chicken drumstick card.
All right, folks. Well, it's a little, 2 hours and 10 minutes. You're probably getting sleepy over there. So I want to
I should
thank.
be, but
It's a work night, isn't it? You're working tomorrow, right? From home?
I'm up at 6 in the morning, so
Early, yeah. Oh
yeah.
gosh. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go, and thanks
Cool.
to everybody in the chat that came by, dropped by, and
Yeah.
thank you again, Chris, and everybody. Be good this week, and I will see you all again soon. Take care.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me, Robin, and thanks to everyone in the chat for popping in and gracing us with your
It
lovely chat. It really has been really nice to speak to you all.
it's always enjoyable having a conversation with you, whatever we talk about. So, thanks.
Likewise, and thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.